One of the odd things about the hearing as well was that a lot of the testimony was really leaning into IDEA and the protections that students get from the federal government and funding for special education. And the Republicans on the committee that were pro-voucher, all of them are, they were leaning into it too. And I'm sitting there looking at alerts coming in on my phone that 50% of the Department of Education employees were cut, and seeing Linda McMahon talk about how she doesn't even know what IDEA is. The head of the department doesn't even know what it is. And she was hired just to dismantle the Department of Education. So how is Texas going to support special education students and this voucher program? None of it works. So if you're a special education student, you have a special education student, and you support this voucher program, you need to revisit this. You need to call your legislator, because they're not going to support you. The private schools can't support you. And Texas is going to run out of money to do so, because the federal government isn't going to be there to support you as well. Even if the money is there federally, the employee that hands you the money isn't going to be there. After I filmed that, I remembered that my friends Felicita and Lizdelia testified. They managed to testify in the hearing. They had to wait hours and hours. They testified right before I left at 11:20 p.m. They made them wait that long. Which is horrible to make them wait that long. They could clearly see she was special needs. She should have gone first.
My name is Felicita. I am in 6th grade, and I use a power wheelchair because I have cerebral palsy. I love school, dancing, and spending time with my friends. I'm here today to speak against HB3 because I don't believe vouchers will ever work for kids like me. My mom has looked at private schools for me, but they turned away because I'm in a wheelchair. They don't want to deal with things like ramps, having a nurse to help me, or making sure I could move around the school. I've heard people talk about giving money to private schools, but private schools don't have to take kids like me. They don't have the same rules as public schools. Instead of giving money to private schools that don't take kids like us, please help public schools get better. Fund them all. Fund them so all students can have the chance to learn and grow. Every kid deserves to belong public schools are where we truly belong. Thank you for listening to my story.
Very good. Very good. Felicita, that was a powerful testimony. You're a pro. It's like you've done this. You're better than everybody else that's come up here today.
Thank
We
you.
really thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your concerns about this issue. It's really important. Dr. Pinion, did you want to testify as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may begin.
Vouchers don't open doors to Texas schools with disabilities. My name is Dr. Liz Pignon, and I'm a mother of 4 children with disabilities, including CP, autism, dyslexia. I strongly oppose HB 3. Vouchers do not open doors for Texas children with disabilities. They close them. I have triplets with medical needs. Santiago has a feeding tube. Frida has mental health challenges. And Felicita uses a wheelchair due to cerebral palsy. We've explored the possibility of private schools all over DFW, but the outcome was always the same. As soon as they learned about our children's disabilities, the doors were closed. Santiago's feeding tube was seen as a burden, even though he's reading at a 12th grade level and reads in multiple languages. Felicita's wheelchair required too many accommodations, and as you've seen, she's pretty outspoken. And Frida's behavior challenges led to comments like, well, we might not be the right fit. We asked the questions and learned that our school's rights would not be protected in private schools, and I, as a parent, am not willing to give up those rights. Let me be clear, this bill does not provide any solutions. It deepens inequities here in Texas. Vouchers are marked as choice, but they're technically private school choice. They get to choose, not us. They have no real obligations to accept or serve these students and often lack the resources, staff, and willingness to provide necessary accommodations. Children like mine would remain excluded, while public schools would lose critical funding and struggle even more to support their students. If we truly want to support students with disabilities, we must strengthen, not abandon our public schools. Instead of draining money from our public schools, why not fix our system? Fully fund our special ed schools, reduce those class sizes, hire and train more special ed teachers, and expand access to transition programs to prepare students for the life after high school. Felicita and I agree that HB 3 is private school choice. It was never about parental choice. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your testimony. Members, any questions for this panel? Yes, Chairman Frank.
Yeah. Dr. Pena, thank you very much for being here. You mentioned that you were searching all over for private schools. Why were you searching?
When my kids were newly diagnosed with a disability and knowing the issues that Texas have had with their special ed departments,
Okay.
Programs, I wanted to explore.
Okay,
But as
so-
soon as I went to those programs and mentioned anything, and these even specialize
Yeah,
special needs schools.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that you didn't find the right fit. I think that is a situation families have gotten in, and there's not always an option, but in some cases there are. If you'd have been able to find an option, and there are some private schools that specialize in those, and you didn't
no.
find them, but if there were a school that specialized in that and you found them, might you have a different opinion? I know you didn't, but you might have a different opinion and feel
No,
like, hey,
I
you
wouldn't
had
have,
an
because I
option.
would have had to waive my rights of my student. Whenever there's an issue with my child with special needs, I'm able to bring in our rules and make sure that everything our child needs is followed.
I really do. I appreciate your answers. I've talked to others that really would like other options but I appreciate that you don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Vice Chair Bernal.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Felicita, I don't think that I will forget you.
Thank you.
I have a question. And I'm probably going to ask it the wrong way, so forgive me. I know that having children that have certain needs and challenges is expensive in and of itself. Let's say that you did find a school that could serve Felicita and the other children. But the tuition was $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. The voucher right now, the ESA is worth $10,500. If you were to find that school, do you think they should be able to turn you away because you can't make up the remaining $10,000 or $20,000?
I don't. It shouldn't be an income. We would never go that route because of the special ed laws that we would have. But even with 2 incomes of doctorates in our home, there's no way, even with a voucher, that we would even ever be able to afford anything.
And I appreciate that. Thank you. And just, I know that people are listening to me thinking that I'm trying to create some sort of policy trap. I'm not. What I'm trying to do is the chairman has prioritized students based on their need. And so far, every time we ask, if the schools would do the same, they have said, no, don't make us. And I'm struggling with that. They are saying, if you make us take fill-in-the-blank character of kid, we may not participate. And I'm looking for a way to make that work. I don't like the bill. I think it's bad policy, and I think we're all hearing why. But that is what I'm struggling with. And I get that there are special circumstances, and I get that some children are harder to serve than others, and it's hard to find personal. I get all that. But we haven't heard one say yes. We'll do it. If there's no one's even said, if it's $3,000 more, we got it. Or we can do it up to 10. They just said, if you make us do this, we're out. And I just don't, if that is the case, then the bill doesn't do what we want it to do. So I'm still asking and pleading with people to help us figure this out, as opposed to giving us platitudes, because I think you're seeing over and over again what the challenge is, right? There are priorities. There are bands of kids. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And right now, the only group that we know for certain will get served is the last group, the bottom band. And I'm frustrated, and I'm no more frustrated than I am right now. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Members, any other questions?